Hello, hello, welcome to New Gameplay Today. I'm one of your hosts, Wesley LeBlanc. Today we are joined by Kyle Hilliard.
Hello, looking at some drive-in.
Yeah, and Marcus Stewart.
Hey, you didn't say we were taking a road trip today.
Yeah, we are in Oahu, Hawaii, and that is because we are checking out the Crew Motorfest today. Before we jump in, have you guys ever played the Crew? 1 or 2, I guess.
Ooh, I think I downloaded it and played like an hour of the first one, right? Like it was very much a dabble, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah, it was way back in 2014 when that first one came out too, which is kind of wild that this series has almost been around for a decade. Marcus, have you played any of it?
I have not, but I had like a mild curiosity about this game because I like the Forza Horizon games, and when I saw that they were pretty much doing that, I kind of wanted to see their spin on that.
Yeah, so that's what Motorfest is almost to a fault. Well, definitely to a fault, because Forza Horizon is fantastic, especially 5. This is their attempt at being Horizon, basically, where they're taking a locale, in this case it's Hawaii, and turning it into this giant car festival. I guess you could say the Crew's like unique spin on racing is that it's not just cars, there's boats and planes, which is nice for a place like Hawaii. But pretty much it's Forza Horizon. There's a festival, lots of characters who are really stoked about cars, yelling in your ears.
They're a bunch
races.
of influencers.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
yelling about followers and stuff.
Yeah, and weirdly, I think one of my biggest hangups with the Crew Motorfest so far is that it's not as organic as Forza Horizon felt to me, especially as a festival that's taken over an entire location. Because in Motorfest, there's an open world and you can drive around to different races and stuff, but your primary way of interacting with it is through playlists. So right now we are in the vintage playlist, basically, where so you hit I want to do this playlist, and then it makes you drive to a billboard that has that playlist name on it, and then you load, and then you pick a race from that playlist, and you kind of progress through them. There's like 7 to 9 in each, it looks like, and that's what I am doing right here. I will say
you also can just drive around without goal as well, right? Like that's
you can
option?
definitely
Okay.
Yeah, you can drive around, and if you've played like a Forza or Need for Speed as of late, you know how like in the open world they just have like random little challenges, like a speed trap where when you go by this flag you need to be going 130 miles per hour and then you get experience.
Right, yeah. It like kind of rewards you just for doing all kinds of little things, right?
Yeah, those are abundant in this game,
Okay.
which is kind of the norm
Those
for
are
racing.
fun.
So there's definitely fun things to do. There's one I especially like. I don't know if I have footage of it, but it was called a slalom run, where you just do like a slalom on the road. I think that's how you say that, where you go like left and right through flags and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what you're doing now is like this actually kind of, I don't know, at a glance, I'm like, that's kind of cool. Is like you have photographs, and that's like where you need to look for those landmarks, and then that's where you make turns and stuff like that. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, exactly. So I wanted
Okay.
to start this NGT with this because it's one of the highlights of my time playing. I played this game for 4 hours, and it was remote through a system that is, there's latency and stuff. So I'm not the best at racing games, but I promise I'm not this bad usually. But yeah, so this is in the vintage playlist. These vintage cars, which you can see, this is a very old Eldorado, like 50s or 60s. They don't have turbo, which all the other cars do, and they don't have GPS systems. So instead of using a GPS system to tell you where to go during the race, like you mentioned, Kyle, we're looking at photographs of little, I guess, markers that are naturally in the map, and then you just kind of use those to go. It's
That's
not too
cool.
difficult. Like you just kind of follow the road and it appears. Like I'm not having to keep an eye out for this specific arch coming up. It's just like, follow the road and you'll be there. But it was a fun twist on this, and it was like different than just regular racing, which I appreciated. And I like how it's themed to the vintage cars.
So
Yeah,
is this
that's like it's a fun conceit, right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. Is this a like to scale like version of Hawaii? Because I don't remember which Crew game, but the pitch was like you could drive across the United States in a it was a sort of like abbreviated version of the US, but it was still like pretty big. And to see them go from that to scale down, like let's focus on just like a single state. Like did they say if this is supposed to be like a close to 1-to-1 approximation of Hawaii?
I have no idea if it is. They didn't mention anything in our presentation, and I didn't get a chance to like talk to developers. And I haven't seen that point in trailers or anything like that. I don't get the sense that it is. Something that's one of my bigger disappointments with playing this game so far is that it kind of just feels generic. I mean, and I mentioned this in my preview, maybe Oahu, Hawaii is exactly like the classic tropical island I picture in my head when I think of tropical island. But it kind of just feels like a tropical island, if that makes sense. I'm not.
Right. It doesn't feel
familiar.
unique to other tropical islands you've experienced in video games, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So unless Oahu is like the tropical island and this is it, then I don't get the sense that this is too authentic. And there's Honolulu and stuff, and it kind of just looks like a generic city. I saw like quite a few of the same buildings during a single race, so it kind of just feels like they're dropping buildings in and out as opposed to recreating actual buildings in Honolulu. Yeah. But again, I haven't been there, so maybe that's.
Can you go to the neighboring islands? I saw you could transform into a plane earlier. Can you cross the sea and go to a smaller island?
You cannot. It's just Oahu, which is, I mean, it's big in the game, and you can fly a plane miles and miles. But I did try to go out like into the ocean, and it did not work. Kind of.
it turned you around.
Yeah, pretty much like the invisible wall thing.
Yeah. I want to see, I mean, I don't know if this is the case, but I feel like this setting would be a pretty right place to do some cool like weather or even like geothermal stuff, because like volcanic activity is a big thing in Hawaii, and it's like, is there anything like that of like, oh man, there's a volcano erupting suddenly, you better watch out?
There is a volcano. I did not have any eruptions, and I wasn't able to get up to it to see if it's erupting. I don't get the sense that that's the case though. There's definitely like rain and obviously sunshine, but I don't think
they better have sunshine.
I don't think it's as like dynamic as even a Forza Horizon, which does some cool stuff with weather. Like if we're about to do a race in the Made in Japan playlist, which is a like Japanese street racing themed playlist, and pretty much every level was dark, like it's nighttime and there's rain.
That's cool.
But it was more of just like ambience thing.
I think you're flying the wrong direction. I don't think you want to your plane like that.
Wanted to highlight my excellent plane skills here.
Oh my god, you're doing barrel roll. Making Peppy proud.
Now this is actually my favorite part of this footage, because I just watched Fast and Furious. I don't remember. I watched all of them, and I was like, I wonder if I can transform into a car midair and kind of like skydive down and continue racing. And sure enough, you can. So I'm going to give...
Well, that's good.
Yeah, Fast and Furious bonus points to...
You better nail this. Yeah, there you go.
A little rough. I might be going to the hospital, but we made it.
No, you could survive that. You'd be fine.
Yeah.
That's normal.
Can you change vehicles?
This is the hotel I stayed at when I went to Hawaii a couple years ago. This looks familiar.
Did you airdrop in on a car?
No, that was too expensive. We just landed like normally. Yeah.
Gotcha. Can you switch vehicles at will, or is it like a like Sonic Racing, Lego 2K Driver? Like, oh, like if I'm airborne, I can turn into a plane, but can you just turn into a plane while just on the road?
Yeah, you definitely can. They have it's kind of like a hot switch mechanic where you can switch to your fastest car, your fastest plane, or your fastest boat at any time.
Oh, okay.
The boat one obviously is a little wonkier. You do want to be near some water for that boat. Turns out those are not great on land. But yeah, the plane you can switch to at any time, which I did often. And maybe this speaks to, I don't know how they tackle this issue, but like sometimes I'm giving objectives where I have to go like 5 miles and I could drive, but then I'm also like, I'm just going to switch to a plane and go over these mountains. And I'm able to do that, which is nice. But then I'm not engaging with much of the ground stuff, which I think is the primary focus of the Crew Motorfest.
Yeah, although I mean, that's kind of...
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that's almost... maybe it's not fair to compare it to Tears of the Kingdom, but that is kind of a Tears of the Kingdom problem, right? Where it's like, well, I could just make a little hovercraft and just get to where I need to go, but I'm gonna miss a bunch of stuff along the way. It's kind of like you just have to make that choice, I guess, at a certain point, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm only 20 hours into Tears of the Kingdom, but that I'm definitely more enticed to explore in that game.
Well, yeah, like it's not fair to compare those two games, as one is defined by exploration and this one's about racing. But Wes, is it as good as Tears of the Kingdom?
No, unfortunately. But I mean, what is,
You are.
I mean, it's got a cool little like dragon thing that you just went through. That's pretty neat.
That's true. If you like that dragon, I can tell you that you'll see that dragon in every race in the Made in Japan playlist, because this is the Japanese theming, basically. It is neon and that dragon float everywhere.
I do like the look of this sort of like blacklight neon, kind of like has like a taste of cyberpunk sprinkled on top of it kind of look, you know. It's cool.
Yeah, I like it too visually. It's just a strange, like, so like you're in this Made in Japan playlist and all these races are themed around Japan. Like their version of that is just neon lights and some dragon floats. Like it doesn't really go any further than that. Right. And yeah, it looks nice and stuff, but I mean, there's a lot to like Japanese car culture. And they do nail the car parts of it, like lots of focus on modding vehicles and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, it kind of like crosses over into some cringe territory. Like when you're in this playlist, it's like they'll call your car kaiju and call it Godzilla and stuff like that. And it just feels very like surface level, I guess. Right. And I'm not asking for it to go like super deep. It's not a game just about Japanese street racing, but I don't know. I played a good bit of the races in this playlist, and if you like neon, you'll like it. That's mostly what it is.
Does it have any of the sort of like extra stuff on the side that like Horizon has, of like buying houses and like finding cars? Like, does it have any cool little like extra activities like that?
Yeah, for sure. Well, not buying houses, but you can find their loot crates, basically. Not loot crates on the microtransaction level. I wasn't able to ask about anything like that. But they're called loot crates in the game. Basically, your mini map will ping like a radar, and as you get closer and closer to it, it starts to speed up. I guess very much like Tears of the Kingdom, to mention that again.
That's funny.
And when you get closer, it's like, going crazy, and there's like a box, and you just interact with it, and there's like parts inside of it. I enjoy racing games quite a bit, but I don't go so deep where I need to worry about like my suspension and how it interacts with this engine, I guess.
Right.
So I wasn't as interested in the loot crates, because I was getting like, rare brakes, legendary suspension, stuff like that. And I don't know. I'm lost on that, and I'm not really interested in like going that deep with my car. Like, I just want my car to look cool and be fast.
Yeah, when they offer you that, when you take your car into the shop, you turn it down. They're like, would you like legendary suspension today, Sarah?
Yeah, y'all got any purples? For some purples.
Just here for an oil change. Thank you for the $700 potential bill, though. But yeah, so I wanted to end this NGT with a little look at the boat racing, which is really fun. It kind of reminds me of, I don't know if you guys played like jet ski games back in the day, but I used to love them on PlayStation.
Does Jet Moto count? It's like a hover jet. I like that.
Yeah, I think so.
Was it Hydro Thunder, right?
Yeah, Hydro Thunder's great.
Yeah. I don't remember the name of it, but there was one where you got to go through like a water park, and I loved it as a kid. I guess that's irrelevant, but this is fun. It reminds me of that. Water racing is cool. The challenge in this game, very all over the place though. As you saw, I won that Made in Japan playlist race, and I do my best to come in first on this, and I think I come in like 7th or 8th. And I'm not messing up. I'm staying on track. I'm not going out of bounds. I'm doing everything right, and these other boats are just clearing me. I don't know. I mean, the goal of the race isn't to get first place. You just have to complete it. So maybe that's why. But
That's like maybe need a faster boat. I guess I'm assuming this is your fastest available boat right now.
Yeah, it is. This is the first boat race I could do too. So I was. Yeah, maybe I do need a faster boat, or I accessed this too early, but...
Did you just drive through a wrecked battleship, by the way?
Yeah, I do that all the time.
Okay, I was gonna say this is in Hawaii, so you know there's a lot of like naval bases and obviously Pearl Harbor. Like, is that is that in
Oh,
this game?
I didn't even think of that, but that is a strange. Now that you mention that, that might be strange to go through. Like, why are these Navy battleships shipwrecked? I don't know
Yeah.
where Pearl Harbor is. Obviously Hawaii, but I don't know if it's on
Yeah.
Oahu. That'd be weird to go through the wreckage of that, though.
Okay. Oh
Yeah, this is the Crew Motorfest. I played for 4 hours. It's a fine racer. Like, it feels fine. I'm not rearing to play more. And I don't think it's doing a lot to set itself apart from other and frankly better racers out there. But this is just 4 hours of a much larger game, so maybe my opinions change. But
yeah. If
I'm not
nothing else,
sure.
it seems like it has maybe a little bit more personality than the last two games, even if that personality might be a little derivative, but
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I mean, I know a lot of it kind of depends on where you land with that. I don't necessarily like having characters like just talking in my ear the whole time I'm racing, which they do here, and that happens in other racing games too. It's not unique to the Crew. But yeah, I think the personality is going to be hit or miss for some people.
for sure.
But yeah, this is the Crew Motorfest. It comes out on September 14th, which is not a very busy time. And it's hitting basically everything but Switch, PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. But yeah, thank you both so much for joining me today.
Of course.